With TV ratings down and revenue lagging other major North American sports leagues, the NHL would benefit from doing a few things differently. So, let's talk about the rule changes the NHL must make to improve its product. Go back to the old playoff format. Both fans and players dislike the current format for the Stanley Cup playoffs, which is based on divisional seeding instead of conference seeding. It simply needs to go. It's understandable that the league wanted to create more divisional rivalry matchups in the playoffs, but this seeding system is unfair and makes the regular season less exciting as teams aren't rewarded for their success. Too many times, two of the best teams in a conference have ended up playing one another in the first round of the playoffs. I'm looking at you, Toronto and Tampa. Furthermore, the format is confusing for the casual hockey fan, a demographic the NHL needs to do a better job of attracting. Fortunately, there's a simple solution. As they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The NHL has always had one of the best playoffs in all of sports. This is why the NHL needs to go back to its 1 through 8 conference format for playoff seeding. In the current divisional alignment, division winners would be ranked first and second, while seeds 3 through 8 would be ranked according to their point totals. Then first round playoff matchups would be as follows. The 1 seed versus the 8 seed, the 2 seed versus the 7 seed, the 3 seed versus the 6 seed, and the 4 seed versus the 5 seed. After each round, each conference would reseed the remaining teams in order to keep the playoffs fair and balanced. A 3-2-1 point system. While on the topic of rankings, we need to talk about the point system. Why in the world are some NHL games worth 3 points while the others are worth 2? This is of course because of the loser point that is awarded to a team that loses in overtime or in a shootout, with wins being awarded 2 points regardless of how they're obtained. A 3-2-1 point system is nothing groundbreaking and is actually what the IIHF uses for its international tournaments. In this system, a regulation win is worth 3 points. An overtime or shootout win is worth 2 points. An overtime or shootout loss is worth 1 point. And of course, a regulation win is worth 0 points. With this structure, every game gives out 3 points. It's just a matter of how they're divided up. While this is a much fairer and more accurate way of ranking teams, the biggest knock against it is that it creates disparity, as it would typically create more separation in the standing. There actually has been numerous studies conducted which compare a 3-2-1 point system to the NHL's current format. For instance, in 2020, ESPN compared NHL rankings using a few different formats, and although there were variations in the standings, there were no overly significant differences. Another argument for a 3-2-1 point system is it provides a simpler and less complicated format than the NHL's current setup. Eliminate the shootout. A related topic is the NHL shootout. The league should do away with it, especially if it doesn't want to adopt a 3-2-1 point system. Since the league implemented the 3-on-3 overtime format, the amount of shootouts has decreased, so they're already on their way out anyway. Last season, only about 8% of games went to a shootout. Coming out of the 2004-2005 lockout when the league introduced the shootout, it was a fun new spectacle, but it's run its course. As a glorified skills competition, it's no way to determine a winner or loser of a game. As a compromise, the NHL could extend its overtime by 3 to 5 more minutes to lessen the likelihood of ties. This could make for some compelling moments for teams that desperately need that extra point. Instead of sitting back and waiting for the shootout, a more aggressive tactic would need to be deployed to score. With this concept, another NHL rule should be abolished, which states if a team pulls their goalie in overtime and they end up giving up the winning goal, they don't receive the overtime loser point. Improve NHL offside review. As they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. This aptly applies to the NHL offside review. Of course, everyone wants games officiated fairly and called as accurately as possible, which was the intention of the offside review. But it's become an entirely different beast. The end result has been significant game delays, exciting goals being wiped off the board because of an offside that happened long before the goal-scoring play, and a lot of annoyed fans, coaches, and players. This simple solution would be to remove offside challenges, but that would be the easy option and not be in line with making the game fair. So how about some improvements? For starters, there needs to be some sort of shot clock attached to reviews so they don't drag on forever and completely disrupt the flow of the game. No review should take longer than a few minutes. In order to make this possible, the league would also need to strictly apply the conclusive and irrefutable language in the rulebook, meaning if it's not a clear missed call, go with a call on the ice and move on. Most importantly, offside should only be reviewable if the call leads directly to a scoring play. This means, for example, it shouldn't be possible to review an offside that happened 60 seconds before the goal after possession has changed multiple times. Remove the trapezoid. Other lines on the ice beside the blue lines need to be examined too. Specifically, the NHL should do away with the trapezoid rule and remove these red lines from behind the goal line. The trapezoid limits goaltenders' puck playing ability by giving them a limited amount of space behind the goal line in which they can possess the puck. By removing this rule, the puck can more quickly be retrieved in the defensive zone. NHL defensemen can get more support and be put in less dangerous situations, and this would allow teams to generate more offense. Also creates the opportunity for more rogue goalie moments, and who doesn't love rogue goalies? NHL players today, including goalies, are more talented than they have ever been, so give them every opportunity to show their abilities and create more offense. Call more penalty shots. Speaking of offense, what's more exciting than a penalty shot? Let's have more of them, especially if we're considering removing the shootout. The rulebook currently states a penalty shot is awarded to a player who is deemed to have lost a clear scoring chance on a breakaway by way of a penalty infraction by an opposing player. As it stands now, NHL referees are terrified of making a penalty shot call, even when it is clearly warranted. This needs to change. One way to make this happen is to remove the breakaway component from the current rule, so referees have the jurisdiction to call for a penalty shot on any clear scoring chance that is stymied by an infraction. Referees should be encouraged to call for a penalty shot in any potential scoring situation that remotely calls for it. NHL always wants more scoring, and this would lead to it. The collective power play success rate of NHL teams during the last two completed seasons was 20.2%. The success rate of penalty shots during those two seasons was 27.8%. Simple math suggests more penalty shots would equate to more scoring. Want to make it even more tantalizing? What about giving NHL coaches the choice between a power play or a penalty shot? What rule would you like to see the NHL change? Let us know in the comments.